What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap show. Shout out to one of the biggest stars in UFC right now, Israel Adesanya. He's 24-2 right now. I mean, this guy reminds me kind of like an Anderson Silva. Like, he brings that energy. He has the skills, the talent, the stand-up game. The only thing Israel Adesanya is lacking, I would say, is wrestling and getting taken down to the ground. I do think he needs to learn more grappling and defensive takedowns, stuff like that. But over time, he's going to adapt to that. And I just think Israel Adesanya right now in the UFC, I'd put him in the top 3 right now. I mean, this guy's a pay-per-view star. Everybody wants to see him fight. And I think eventually the mega fight that we thought would happen was him fighting Jon Jones. And obviously, Israel Adesanya understands he doesn't want that smoke with the GOAT Jon Jones. He realizes that they squashed the beef. There was a time where, Jon Jones had beef with him and Israel Adesanya was talking crazy, saying he would match up well against Jon Jones. Then he realized when Jon Jones became heavyweight champion of the world, he was like, you know what, I'm going to pump my brakes and give homage to the GOAT. And they met up about a month or two ago and they squashed that beef, which was good because Israel Adesanya understands I would not match up great against Jon Jones. Jon Jones is either going to take me down, he's going to utilize his elbows that Jon Jones does do. So I think Israel Adesanya was just talking the big game, riding that hype train to really say, I'm the GOAT here. No, Israel Adesanya is not the GOAT. Now, can he be the GOAT? And the thing is, I don't think he's going to be better than Jon Jones was. I mean, we look at Jon Jones' resume and realize, oh my gosh, he went through champion after champion. Lyoto Machida, Rampage Jackson, Shogun made him look silly. There's just been so many world champions that Jon Jones has beat. That was earlier in his career. Then he beat a fan favorite, Chael Sonnen, one of the best trash talkers in UFC history. He ran through him, beat him at his own game, take him down, and that's what Jon Jones does. And then he ran through Daniel Cormier, beat him twice. The second time, knocked him out with the head kick. I just think, we're really underestimating Jon Jones here. Like, Jon Jones is clearly the GOAT of UFC ever. Like, ever. Nobody's ever seen a guy like Jon Jones. But let's look at Israel Adesanya here. He does have a shot to be in the top 5 of all-time greatest UFC fighters ever. I do think Israel Adesanya does. Even though he's lost to Alex Pereira, not just in the UFC, but in kickboxing as well. Got knocked out by Alex Pereira, but he got his revenge at UFC 281 by knocking him out. And we saw that. That was a crazy freaking, at UFC 287, Israel Adesanya got his revenge on Alex Pereira by knocking him out. And then we saw it, but he lost to him at UFC 281. But, at the end of the day, Israel Adesanya, man, this guy's a star. He really is. And my thing is, what's next with Israel Adesanya after he runs through Sean Strickland tonight at UFC 293? And I think Israel Adesanya is going to handle business. I mean, we look at Sean Strickland. Yes, he's a pretty good fighter. He likes to talk trash as well. But let's look at the facts here. Israel Adesanya should knock Sean Strickland out. If Alex Pereira knocks Sean Strickland out, Israel Adesanya should knock Sean Strickland out, right? The only chance that Sean Strickland has in this fight is taking it down to the ground, and I just don't see that happening right now. I think Israel Adesanya right now is a really active fighter. He fights a lot. So I just think right now it makes sense for me to go Israel Adesanya by knockout. That's what makes sense for me, either in the second round or even the first round. But I would lean more towards the second round. Israel Adesanya is going to adapt, even though Izzy, my only thing is with Izzy is he's had some boring fights. Yoel Morero, that was a boring fight. He fought Jared Cormier. That was a really boring fight as well. Marvin, he fought this guy. He looked like a dwarf in a way. That was a boring fight. So my only thing is with Izzy, some of the fights in Izzy's fights have been boring. Except the Paul Costa fight was amazing. He raped him. That was insane. Like, no homo, but that was crazy. And I want to see that Israel Adesanya. I want to see him take chances here. I want to see him advance. I want to see him be aggressive inside that octagon. I want to see him throw leg kicks. I want to see him even maybe shoot for a takedown on Sean Strickland. I just don't think Sean Strickland has a shot here. I think Dana White just planned this up super fast and was like, hey, we're going to put Israel Adesanya on this card, UFC 293, because really, there's not really other good fighters on this card. To be honest, like a lot of no names that nobody's really heard of on this card. So it's just like, let's throw Izzy in there and let's have him, really just murder Sean Strickland here. So Israel Adesanya for sure is going to win tonight, UFC 293. He's going to knock Sean Strickland out. And what's next for Israel Adesanya? I think he wants to fight at UFC 300. That makes sense. I mean, I think UFC 300 is going to do the most numbers, right? If I'm Dana White in the UFC running that company, I'm saying UFC 300, let's put like 3 world titles on this belt here. Like, this is going to be iconic, dude. Let's do it in Las Vegas, the pinnacle in America, the Sin City, right? Everything is sitting, and I hate to say that because, here in America, not just America, in the world, sin is capitalizing. People are capitalizing off sin, dude, and they killed Jesus due to sin. Sin killed Jesus. That's what killed Jesus, was sin, dude. It's terrible. But anyway, Israel Adesanya eventually should fight Duplessis. That's who we should fight. When Duplessis won and beat Robert Whittaker, I think right now, I just think, had that beef, even though Robert Whittaker lost to Izzy twice, we had that beef after the fight where Israel Adesanya was talking crazy to Duplessis, and I think Duplessis right now is very a well-rounded fighter. He's solid on his feet. He's a good wrestler as well. So I think, Israel Adesanya is eventually going to fight Duplessis at UFC 300. That's my prediction here. I think that'd be smart for the UFC. I think it'd be smart for Dana White to do that sometime next spring or summer of 2024. That's what makes sense to me for Israel Adesanya and Duplessis. That's the future of Israel Adesanya here. So the future's bright. He's going to run through his Sean Strickland by knockout and then fight Duplessis at UFC 300. That's what makes sense to me. Now, what's next for Sean Strickland? Is just keep fighting, until you get a couple wins in a row, right? That's what Sean Strickland needs to do. I just think Sean Strickland, skill-wise versus Israel Adesanya, is like junior varsity versus D1. That's what the difference is here in this fight. So, the junior varsity really doesn't have a good shot versus the Division I Israel Adesanya, top-notch Division I. Not a small max school Division I. We're talking SEC, Big Ten D1 here. Okay, Sean Strickland's JV still in high school here. So the skill-wise is just off of it, dude. Like, there's no shot here for Sean Strickland. Absolutely none. If Sean Strickland wins this fight, this will be a miracle. This will be a miracle. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. So, you guys can count your blessings. Sean Strickland, you can say as many prayers as you like. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to beat Israel Adesanya. It's just not going to happen. So that's my prediction of UFC 293. I cannot wait. And then UFC 294 is going to be iconic. I just think UFC right now, they're doing big business here. And I think a lot of shade's being thrown on Dana White and what he's doing with the business. But at the end of the day, it's successful. It really is. And like a true businessman that Dana White is, if it's making money, it makes sense. So he's on ESPN Plus now. It's being broadcasted so many different ways, right? Unless you're like a legal streamer or something like that, streaming on a legal site, even though that's illegal. But overall, right now, Dana White and the UFC, they're winning. The company's winning in general, and their boy Conor McGregor's going to come back hopefully at the end of December, dude, at least. It's been almost 2 years since McGregor's fought last, and we remember that fight. He broke his leg. It sucks, right? It gets Dustin Poirier. But I think overall right now, Dana White's not tripping. He knows Conor McGregor will come back, his superstar, right? The cash cow of the UFC. He really is. And I think Israel Adesanya could be that next cash cow here. I really believe that. The marketing team for Israel Adesanya, and keep bumping that up. I just think Israel Adesanya has that it factor. He really does. His interests are nice. Everything about Israel Adesanya, the way he talks, the way he acts, he seems like a cool dude. So I think overall, Israel Adesanya could be that next cash cow in the UFC. The next superstar right now. Once John Jones retires, which I think is in about a year or two, he doesn't have anything else to prove. I mean, John Jones was the light heavyweight champion for about a decade. Then, he got in some legal trouble, whatnot, battled back, and became the heavyweight champion of the world. And the narrative is like, oh, John Jones, Francis Ngannou would have been an amazing fight. No, it wouldn't have. John Jones would have ran through Francis Ngannou. Yes, literally ran through. Yes, Francis Ngannou has a one-shot power, chance to knock you out. Absolutely. I mean, so do a lot of UFC fighters. There's a lot of UFC fighters that have one-shot power knockout, but that you got to have more than that, dude. And I think John Jones, with a full training camp for Francis Ngannou, he would dominate him. He would take him to the ground and pound him, get Francis Ngannou tired, but Francis went his own way. So shout out to Francis Ngannou, fighting Tyson Fury in boxing, doing his own thing, making money. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, right now, with Israel Adesanya, where he's at in the UFC right now, he's been an active fighter for the past 4 years. Really, 4 years. He's been in all the time, stepped up to the plate, even though he lost a couple times in the UFC. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Israel Adesanya is going to be that next superstar. I think he's the next big thing after John Jones retires, after McGregor's done in the sport. I think it's Israel Adesanya's time. Israel Adesanya is going to win tonight by knockout over Sean Strickland. Then he's going to fight at UFC 300. I cannot wait. It's the Clouded with Cap show. Let's go!